Okay, so before we finish up that inside part there, I'm just going to go around and just kind of fix up some of the other parts here. We're going to need to detach, the top here, the front, as well as the bottom and the back. And if you look on the reference images here, you can see we have some seams here where it's separated. Okay, so we're going to need to get that edge in there so we can break the top off on each side. And we also have a seam down here right behind this button. And then as well as the bottom there, and obviously on the back here we have a seam. Okay, I think I'm going to change it just slightly here. You can see this is kind of notched out around this piece. We might do that, but I think for now I'm just going to cut it, straight across so we can separate off this top piece. Okay, so before we get into that middle part, we're just going to do this quick, and you can see we still have quite a large gap here around the door. So we're going to need to close this up a little bit more. And it's also a little too wide here to fit the door, and I want to bring that in before we go any further. Okay, so let's grab maybe the body here. We're going to go into the top view, and let's just go into vertex here, and we're going to grab the verts right along this edge here so we can move it over a little bit more. Alright, so let's grab all the verts here. Okay, and we're just going to pull this over and close this up a little bit more so it's a little more tight. Right, so let's bring that in. Let's make sure we have our edge constraint off again. Now let's move it over, and we'll just kind of get it, somewhat tight to the door there. Okay, we'll see how that looks in perspective. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So we'll do the same thing over on the left side here. Let's grab these verts here, and we're just going to move this over. And I'm also just going to maybe grab these ones here so we don't accidentally tweak out that corner. You can see over here it's a little bit screwed up, so we're probably going to have to fix that a little bit later, but let's just move these over for now. Let's grab that one as well. Okay, so same thing here, we'll just move this over. And we'll try to even it out so that we have the same gap on each side here. And that looks pretty close. Okay, so now what we can do is move this back towards the door here. So let's grab all these verts right around here. We can deselect the bottom ones right now. We don't need to have those, we'll just do the top ones. Okay, so we'll hold down Alt, drag through those bottom ones, and we'll just move this back down on the y-axis. Okay, so we want, as even of a gap as we can get around the entire door here, and we're going to probably need to adjust those corners a little bit later. Okay, but right now that looks pretty good. Okay, so now that we have that adjusted, we can start making some modifications to the inside piece here too. Alright, so let me just get out of vertex here. Let's hit Alt Q. So we have just the body here. And let's maybe slightly modify the depth here that we have. Let's go into polygon first. We're going to delete off this polygon here, as well as the one on this side. We're just going to delete those. Okay, so we can select these faces down here, move them up, which we can do easily in the left view. So just going to grab all those verts at the inside here, and we'll shorten this up quite a bit. Okay, I'm just going to bring it up to about there so that we can actually connect it to these verts here on the front. Okay, I think that's about the right height. Okay, so we'll do something like that. And let's also create a polygon right here just for now. Alright, so I'm going to go into polygon, I'm going to go to create, and this will just let you create a polygon manually. So what we're going to do is start here on this vert, and we're just going to click on each of these verts around the top to this one, and we'll go down and back to the first vert. Okay, that's going to create that polygon for us, which will fill that in. We'll do the same thing over on this side, back to create, and just work your way around, clicking on each of the verts. Okay. Alrighty, so now what we can do is start separating out some of these panels, and I think we can do it right now. I don't think we really need to make many more adjustments to the overall shape. Yeah, let's just do it now. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just angle this edge here a little bit so that we have a little bit of a taper towards the outside. Okay, we can do that in the front view. Let's hit F3 here, and we'll toggle our transparency. And we'll go up to the top here, and you can see where the edge is on the original blueprints there. So we're just going to match that by vertex. Alright, we only want to get the front verts here, so this one and this one. and we want to make sure we put on the edge constraints so that we don't pull these out of alignment. Okay, so what we'll do here is just move them down on the Y just a little bit, deselect this one, and just move this down a little bit more. Alright, so we have a bit of an angle on that. And over here on the left side, we'll do the exact same thing. Grab this vert here and this one, and just move them down on the Y just a bit. Okay, something like that. Okay, so we'll check this out. And let's take another look at the reference here. Okay, I think we have those in the right position. Okay, so now what we'll do is go into polygon, back into the front view, and we'll just drag right through all these polygons here. Okay? And make sure you have ignore back facing turned off when you do that. And for the back here, let's look at the back image. Okay, you can see that's a little bit higher than what we actually have on our model here. It's a little higher to the top than we have here, so we're going to need to add an extra edge right through this section so we can bring that seam up higher. Alright, so let's go back to edge first. We'll just ring one of these inside edges here, and then we'll manually select this one and this one, and this one and this one. Okay, so those edges are going right around, and it looks like we have a little bit of a kink over on this side. Now, let's fix that quick. I'm not sure what happened there. Just going to turn off the edge constraint here. We're just going to move this back just slightly so we close up that gap. And let's move this just over a bit. Okay, and it looks like that must have happened pretty early on because we also have that kind of kink in the side piece. Alright, so let's go into the front view. We'll switch this to the back view quickly. And we'll just make sure that we have this correct. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over slightly like that. And then we'll grab that side piece and just adjust the vert there as well. Okay, so let's move this over. Make sure we have the edge constraint off. Right to there. And this one's a little too far over as well, so let's move that back. Okay, so just make sure, you know, those edges are right on top of each other between the two pieces. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we'll go back to the back piece, back into edge, and we'll just do a connect with these back edges selected. Okay, and we'll just do one segment, no pinch, no slide, and then we'll make planar on Z. Whoops, not Z, Y, sorry. Okay, now we'll straighten that edge out for us. Okay, and I think that's about the right location. And again, we're going to have that a little bit tweaked out over on that side for some reason. I think it's just a shrinkage from the turbo smooth over there. But let's go back into vertex and we'll just quickly readjust this a little bit more. Like that. Okay, and you can see these are sticking through, but once we have turbo smooth on this piece, that's going to kind of round that out and approximate that curve a little bit more. So we should be good to go. Okay, so now let's go back into polygon here. And we'll just deselect this bottom row here that we don't want selected. Okay, so just drag through that. So right up to this seam here that we just put in, all the way around to the front until those angled edges that we put on both sides. Okay, and we also want to make sure we're attaching the inner pieces to these as well. So let's hit Alt-Q for 1 second, turn it off, Alt-Q, back into polygon, and we'll just grab these ones here as well. Okay, so we want this as all one object. Alright, so now we'll go over to detach, and we'll also should start naming some of these pieces. So let's call this top, and uncheck both boxes and hit OK. Alright, so let's unhide all. And another thing we're going to do here is just add a couple of different color materials so we can see the different elements that we have. So let's go over and grab a new slot, change the diffuse color on this one to say green. And let's make another one here. Let's do maybe purple on this one. Okay, and then we'll just drag and drop the green material onto the top piece so we can see where it's separated. And we'll also break off these two front panels right now. Okay, so let's go back into polygon with that front piece selected. And let's go into the side view. We're just going to drag through the bottom here. Okay, so we have all those polygons. And we don't want to have any of these ones here selected, so let's deselect those. Alright, so I'm just going to hold down Alt and we'll deselect these ones here. Okay, just like that. And we also don't want to break it this high up. We want to have some of these polygons here attached to this top part. So let's deselect those two as well, and these two as well. Okay, so right up to there. And we'll go around the front and do the same thing. Let's drag through these here in the left view. Okay, and we'll add maybe one more here, so let's deselect that one as well as these. Okay, so we just have one of those curved segments attached to the bottom on the front and back. Okay, now we can detach this as bottom. Okay, let's throw another color on there. Alright, and now we'll go around the front and just break off the panels if we need to anywhere else. We're going to need to separate these two out later on, but let's just leave it as one right now. Okay, so we have the front, back, bottom, and top separated, which is what we want. Okay, and I just want to see if we need to make any adjustments here. Let's grab the inside piece, the drink tray part, and we'll just move those verts back up so they line up with that edge a little bit better. Okay, so back to the front view, and we'll just move these up a little bit more, just so they touch up with that green part. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, and we can definitely do some work here now that we have these separated to get rid of some extra edges that we don't need. Let's go around the back here and grab the back piece. And now that's separated off, we really don't need to have these edge loops in the middle that aren't really doing anything for our shape. So let's go into edge, and we're just going to select the vertical edges here in the center. So I'm just going to drag right through these. Okay, and let's get this one as well, and maybe this one here. Okay, we don't want to touch these ones here because that's where it's starting to curve. Okay, so we'll just come up to maybe this edge here and over to this edge here, and we'll leave this guy and this one. Okay, so let's do a loop, and we can control backspace those out. Okay, now we know we need to have the tank in here, and that's actually molded out of these, this whole back part is part of the tank, so we're going to need to extract that from these polygons. And the easiest way for us to do that is just go into polygon, and we'll just select these ones here. Okay, these ones as well, and the same over on this side. Okay, so just those ones there. We want to leave these ones on each side, and what we'll do now is just delete these. Okay, and that'll give us an opportunity to close this up and start building the tank. Okay, so we're going to grab these two edges over on the left side, and these two, and then we'll do a bridge, and we'll go into the top here and we'll grab these two edges here and a matching two over on this side and bridge, and then we'll go to border, grab that border, cap the hole. Okay, and then we'll do a ring on these edges here, and let's go into the top view for this. We'll do a connect. Let's give it two segments and we'll slide those apart. Okay, just like that for now. And you can see those are a little bit twisted, so if you want to, you can just loop them and make planar on Z. Okay, and we'll just line these up where we need them. Let's connect it first. Okay, so what we're going to do is connect this vert here to this one, and the same over on this side. Connect, and then we'll go into the top view and we'll just straighten out the edges here. Okay, so I'm going to grab those verts, just move it over until it straightens out. Same thing on this side, straighten those out. Okay, now we need one more edge loop here so that we can quad this up. Okay, so let's grab an edge here and an edge here, another ring, another connect with one segment, no pinch. Okay, and then we'll just connect the vert across. Okay, so connect that and connect these two. Okay, so we'll have quads there, which is what we want. Down at the bottom here, we could actually probably close this up. Okay, let's maybe bridge these across. Okay, I should have done these first before we added those vertical segments, but that's okay. We'll just bridge these, and then we'll cap this hole. So select that border and cap it, and then we need to continue these edges down. And we can do that by connecting the edges, or we could just cut it across. Okay, let me just hit Z here so we can zoom in properly. Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll just use cut because it's quicker. Alright, so let's put our snaps on, make sure we have vertex, and we'll just continue these edge loops down to the bottom. Okay, let's actually turn off vertex snapping, we don't need it. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that down there, and this one down to the bottom edge. Okay, and same thing over on this side. And again, it doesn't matter if they're perfectly straight. Okay, so now what we can do is go back into polygon, turn off cut, and select these polygons here. Okay, and before we do that, let's actually add maybe a center edge here for a second. I'm just going to bring these edges again. Okay, and we'll connect this up in the top view. Alright, so let's do a connect. Now we'll do 2 segments here. Okay, and the reason we need these is if we look at the reference again, on the back here we have this little void down at the bottom, which part of the water tank sits in. Okay, so we're going to need to create some edges here for each side of these. Okay, so let's maybe do them a little tighter together. Maybe something like that, and okay. Okay, now we'll go into polygon and select these polygons. Okay, so we're just going to grab these ones here, as well as these bottom ones. Okay, just like that. We'll go into the left view, hit F3, and extrude these out by group. Let's bring it out to about there. And okay, and you can see that's a little bit bent, so we'll just straighten it out manually by moving these polygons up until the edges straighten out. Okay, and we also have this angle at the bottom here, which we don't want. So let's just make planar on X to flatten those out. Okay, now it'll give us the basic shape of the tank. Okay, now we need to create that void in the center there. So let's add another loop here by doing a ring and another connect. And let's do 2 segments again. We'll just pinch those a little farther apart. Maybe like that. Okay, and then we'll zoom in here and go to polygon. Grab these 9 polys. Okay, and then we can extrude these down. Okay, so let's take that down. Something like that. Go into the top view and deselect these ones on each side. Okay, so we just have the middle 3 there selected. And we'll go back to the front view and we'll just pull this down manually to angle that bottom. Okay, we could probably bring it up a little more shallow. So let's grab the verts and just move it up a little bit more. Okay, so that'll give us that void that we need. Okay, and underneath here, as I mentioned earlier, we can do a really low res version for the bottom, so you're not going to see it. So let's do that quick. Let's grab the bottom piece here, we'll hit Alt Q, and let's close this up quickly. So let's go to the edge and we'll grab this edge and this edge. Okay, it looks like we might have an extra vert over on the side here, so I'm just going to remove that one there. And let's see, we have one here as well, so let's remove that. Then we'll grab those 2 edges, this one, and we'll bridge them. And let's also do these small ones here. Grab that one, and the same one over on the other side. Do a bridge, and we'll just grab that border there and cap it. And we also really don't need to have this void cut in here, so we can close this up a little bit as well. Let's go into the top view and grab these edges here and bridge them. And let's just cap this hole as well. Alright, so we'll grab that and cap it, and let's do these ones here while we're at it. Okay, so a bridge across there. Okay, so essentially we don't need these center edges at all. We do want to maintain this little bit of a curve here at the front and back, but we really don't need the center edges. Alright, so what we can do here is go into the top view and just select all the center edges. Okay, and we'll do a loop. Okay, we can also get this one here, so we'll just control click that and loop it. And actually we do want that one. Alright, so I'm just going to deselect this, sorry about that. That's the one that starts curving up, which we want to maintain at each end. Okay, so let's deselect those ones. Everything else can be selected here. And we'll just hit Control Backspace. Okay, let's unhide all and see how it looks. Okay, so everything's fitting together pretty nicely here. And I don't think we have any weird errors. Okay, again, we're going to need to make some adjustments up here to adjust the curve of this as well as the size of maybe some of these pieces up in the top. Okay, but we're looking pretty good for now. Just going to chuck another shader on that back just to separate it a little bit more. Okay,